Hello and welcome to 7 o'clock news. I'm your host, JCRG, and today we'll be discussing about the issues that affected not just nationally, but internationally. PTSD, the issue that has damaged the lives of people for years on end. But before we get into the statistics, we have to first learn what is PTSD. Today, we're going to be joined by a special visitor, Dr. Mikkel, who's going to talk to you about what is PTSD. Hi Doctor, how are you? Great. So, in your experience, what is PTSD?
Well, Jason, PTSD is basically a chain of events that can affect the human's mind of making them relive the moment.
She's a lying dyke or another dumb slut.
Sorry!
Or basically, just remember the moment, giving them a vision of the moment. And this can be a traumatic event, for example, a car crash, or events in the war, or even like a sexual or physical assault.
Hey.
So that's basically what PTSD is in a brief summary.
Now Doctor, since you brought that up, I was wondering, what is the link between the health inequality and PTSD?
Well, health inequality is basically the difference of the health between two individuals. So, for example, if a person wants to live in a neighborhood where there's an immense increase in murder, the sound of gunshots or the sound of people screaming can be that traumatic event. So it can be as simple as just hearing sounds can create that traumatic event, and a person wants to live in that kind of neighborhood compared to a person living in a peaceful neighborhood, and then there's basically no stimuli that can create a traumatic event. Basically just shows the health inequality between that example of those two individuals.
Well Doctor, is there any other treatments for PTSD?
Well, that depends on the level of PTSD and how serious the person has it. For example, if it's really light, the person just may recover from just being surrounded by company, friends or family.
Higher! Use your man muscles! The entire extended.
Or if it's very serious, they could go for therapy. For example, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, I'm pretty sure it is. And basically, in this type of therapy, just changes the way they think. Like, if they see PTSD and they're scared of it, it changes the way they react to it. Just just basically changing the way they implement it in their daily life. And so, yeah, those are just some of the examples of treatment.
Wow, thank you Doctor. Very interesting. Now that we know what exactly PTSD is, thanks to Dr. Brendan Micallef, and what South is experiencing on our daily basis, we need to know how prevalent that it is in Australia. For that, we'll be joined by our special reporter, Eldo. Hey Eldo. Hello. So Eldo, how prevalent is PTSD in Australia?
Well Jason, PTSD has been a prevalent issue in Australia for a few years now. It is believed that as many as 800,000 Australians suffer from post-traumatic stress at any given time, making it the second most common mental health disorder in Australia. Approximately 2/3 of Australia's population will experience events that can potentially be traumatic. In Australia, the prevalence rates of PTSD are significantly high, at 4.4% of adults experience it for approximately 12 months, while a staggering 7.2% of adults experience it for their entire lifetime. Rates are higher after specific traumas. Interpersonal trauma, such as rape and torture, could lead to a lifetime prevalence rate as high as 50%. There are also increasing numbers of contemporary veterans leaving Australia for the Defence Force, including those who have been deployed to Afghanistan and Iraq, where high rates of traumatic exposure have occurred.
Well, thank you, Eldo. So there you have it. Now that we know what PTSD is, we're going to be joined by a PTSD sufferer named Gabriel in order to gain better understanding about the struggles he goes through by a daily basis.
Gabriel has been a PTSD sufferer for several months now. It all started when he witnessed the murder of a complete stranger. Today we'll be joined by Gabriel who will be talking live with PTSD.
Hi Gabriel, how are you?
So Gabriel, when did the first signs of PTSD start showing up for you?
Well, there were no signs for the first 3 months, but as time went by I would remember back to it, and ever since I did that it's gotten worse.
Have your thoughts affected the way you live?
I believe that they have. I've begun developing strong feelings of this event, and I believe it's prevented me from living a purposeful life.
And what are the first signs and symptoms of your PTSD?
So often I find myself reliving the event with vivid images and nightmares. Also, I would be overly alert and wound up, constantly looking for any other sign of danger.
And so how has this affected the way you live?
PTSD has affected the way I live as I experimented intense emotional and physical reactions such as sweating, heart or panic when reminded me of the event, and it is weird and uncomfortable when this happens.
Well, thank you Gabriel. I've learned a lot from this patient. There are several ways in which you can help a friend or a loved one who is suffering from PTSD. Number 1, don't pressure your loved one into talking. It can be very difficult for people with PTSD to talk about their traumatic experience. Instead, let them know you're willing to listen when they want to talk, or just hang out when they don't. Number 2, do normal things with your loved ones, things that have nothing to do with the traumatic experiences. Encourage your loved one to participate in exercise and persuade hobbies that bring pleasure. And finally, number 3, let your loved ones take the lead rather than telling him or her what to do. Take cues from your loved ones as to how you can best provide support and companionship. Thanks for joining us. This has been another edition of 7 o'clock News. This is your host, Jason Yagi, signing out. Hello, and welcome to 7 o'clock News. I'm your host, Jason Yagi, and today we'll be discussing about affected not just nationally, but internationally. PTSD. Not just nationally, but internationally. PTSD. We'll be discussing about the issues that have affected not just nationally, but internationally. Dramatic pause. Today, we're going to be joining to you as visitor, Dr. Nicola. Who's going to be talking to you about Dr. Nicola? Who's going to be talking to you about PTSD. How are you, Doctor? I'm great. So,
Oh, no. I want to live in a neighborhood with high amounts of crime. Live in a neighborhood with
Brendan,
Okay, let's go again,
I want to finish here.
Say again, say it.
I've learned a lot from this patient. So there you go. So there you... What? This is, quickly, one who is suffering from PTSD. What? Thanks for joining us. This has been another edition of 7 o'clock News. There, let's start again.